Hi, Reverend Paula Zabkar here with Spiritual Soul Center. Happy Sunday to you. I've been thinking this week, as maybe some of you have, about the brokenness that I see in the world, about the brokenness I read about the brokenness that I feel. And it's easy to see the brokenness in other people. It's easy to see brokenness in people who are suffering, who are exhausted, who are marginalized, who are taken advantage of, who are treated unjustly, who are oppressed. It's easy to see it in our government. It's easy to see it in local government as well as our federal government. And maybe we don't notice it so much, our brokenness, the brokenness inside of us, the brokenness that in all of us. You see, I think we've lost our perspective of life. We see so much in the physical. We are so drawn in and we exist in the physicality of our life that we think that's the beginning and the end of where things are. And the physical is just an aspect of our lives, though. Yes, this is how it looks. This is how is the outpicturing of how it looks, but it's not everything there is. It's not all there is. And what happens is when we see a brokenness, out here, what we try to do is fix it out here. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. But the thing is that brokenness isn't out here. Brokenness is inside of us. It exists inside of us. The manifestation of brokenness, the expression of brokenness is out here. But the real brokenness is in each of us. It's in each of us as hatred, as greed, as anger, as power and fame and wanting to be acknowledged. It's in us as the need to be right and the need for others to change and a bunch of other things too. That brokenness in us is that. And it manifests itself in the way we treat others, the way our laws are, the decisions we make. And that's how brokenness is manifest. But the brokenness is inside of us. It's inside of us. And that is where we need to begin. I think our brokenness is really that we have lost our sense of wholeness. We have lost that sense of wholeness inside of us. And that inner is revealed in the outer. And what I think is that all this time, we are so naive to think, and over all this time of humanity, we still believe there is us and them. We still believe there is us doing this and them doing that. And we don't realize that there's only us, that there's only one, that there's only oneness. And that our brokenness is in our indifference, it's in our desire to dominate, it's in our lack of compassion, it is in our judgment and our blame. That's where our brokenness lies. You know, it's the old metaphor of if you get a cut on your finger or a gash on your leg, we don't let it fill up with dirt. We don't let it fill up with dirt and get really red and then begin to fester and to even get infected. And then we don't get mad at it for getting infected and mad because it's getting red and upset because it's controlling our life. No, that's not what we do to our body when we have a cut somewhere. We treat it. We pay attention to it. We treat it immediately. You know, when's the last time you cut yourself and you said, oh, well, I'll just wait till tomorrow to take care of that? No, we treat it immediately. We take care of it. We clean it out. We put something on it. You know, back when I was growing up, we used what's called red dab. That's what we called it in our house. This glass rod inside this bottle with red stuff in it. I don't know if it was mercurochrome. That was much harder to say. Red dab. We put the red dab on it. We put a Band-Aid on it. We protected it. That's how we treated something that was broken in our body. And that's how we need to treat ourselves and each other as we're broken too. We need to pay attention and treat each other immediately and with kindness and tenderness. Here's the truth about human brokenness and the brokenness we see in the world, the brokenness we feel inside of ourselves, is that we need to treat both sides of the equation. We need to treat both sides of our human brokenness. We need to treat the victim as well as the perpetrator. We can't do the one-sided thing. You know, we will not be healed as a whole race, as the human race, as our wholeness and oneness that we are, unless we treat both sides. You know, that's the truth. Because our brokenness exists on both sides, we must treat it on both sides. And here's another truth. Working with one side has never worked. soothing the victim, making sure that the victim, the one who has been oppressed, is taken care of. It's never worked. It works for a while, but really what we need to do is work both sides. It doesn't help to condemn the other person. It doesn't help to condemn the perpetrator and call him out as evil. You know what that is? That's like putting salt in the wound. That's what that is. And the whole of us suffers because of that. The whole of us suffers because it affects the whole. Now hear this. All of this is not to say that we should not stand up for justice, that we should not stand up and demand accountability, that we should not stand up and show our outrage and show our anger in a world that needs to be changed, in a world that is crying out for drastic change. No, that's the expression that brings our brokenness into the light. And we need to do that, absolutely. Absolutely we do. It is essential and important that we do that. But here's the thing. That's not where the work ends. The work just begins in shining the light on it. How we resolve our brokenness and how we move on into healing, that's where the real work starts. That's where the real work begins. And that's where I think we have failed to follow through. Let me read you this from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. There is a story of Gandhi that reveals how profound and daring his sense of compassion was. It occurred during one of his famous hunger strikes. A man whose daughter was killed came in anguish, saying to Gandhi that he would stop fighting if the great soul would eat. But Gandhi knew the healing was deeper than just stopping the violence. And so he told the man that he would eat only when the tormented father embraced the man who killed his daughter. It is said that the man collapsed in tears, but did as Gandhi asked, and the larger conflict ended. This is an enormous thing to ask someone in grief, of someone who has been violated. But beyond the vast courage needed to incorporate this kind of love into our daily lives, Gandhi's request reveals the irrefutable wisdom that only when the broken are healed, no matter what they have done, will we as a people heal. God, only when all of us are broken. And how can we heal from such injustices? The great injustices of our time, right now, that we're living so poignantly. Racism and income inequality and police brutality and military oppression and living while black and the way we treat immigrants. All of it. Is forgiveness really the way we need to go? You know, how can that even be on the radar right now? How can that be? Well, another book that's been informing me about how to live this is the Book of Joy, which I've read from recently also. Let me read you this. Now, this is the Archbishop Desmond Tutu talking about the Reconciliation Commission in South Africa. He says, in one instance during the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, we had mothers of some young people who had been lured by those working with the apartheid system into a booby trap where they were killed. Mothers of some young people who had died in that booby trap. One of the mothers said she switched on her television set and saw the body of her son being dragged. And apart from her anguish at the death of her son, there was a deep, deep anger at his body being treated as if it were the carcass of an animal. The one who betrayed these young people came and appeared in front of the mothers and asked for their forgiveness. When the mother of the young man who'd been dragged through the streets saw the traitor, she took off her shoe and she threw it at him. The Archbishop said, we had to adjourn for a little while, but then during the break came a totally fantastic moment. In this group of mothers, the one who was speaking on their behalf got up and went across the room to this guy who had been responsible for the killing of their sons and embraced him and said, my child, we forgive you. Powerful. Powerful, amazing, the resilience in the human heart. reconciliation for brutality given by a mother. It is hard to comprehend, but what is the message here for us? What is the message for our own lives? For our own lives demonstrated by this saint, by this soul, by this full expression of God in the flesh, in that woman, in that mother. And that is this idea of reconciliation. To make amends, to pay compensation, to recognize the loss, to offer something for that injury, to stop the destructive behavior. That's what truce means, to stop the destructive behavior. And it's a process that happens over time. It's a process that happens in us to root that out, to root that out. Once more from the Book of Awakening, to follow up, is this. It is hard to comprehend, my friends, is it hard to comprehend how this works? Yet the mystery of true forgiveness waits in letting go of our ledgers of injustice and retribution in order to regain the feeling in our heart. And so I am forced to look at my own small life, into my own small and all-consuming pain and ask, who am I? Why can't I forgive wrongs done to me? Why can't I, more than forgive, begin to trust, begin to reconcile? This is the hard work. This is the hard work on all sides of the equation. Reconciliation is hard work, and it's a process over time. Forgiveness is deep, deep spiritual work. Deep spiritual work. It doesn't happen by showing up at a march. It doesn't happen by clicking on things on social media. It doesn't happen that way. It may start that way, and it is an essential start to shine the light, absolutely. But the work begins after the light is shining. The work begins then. It's a process in us that allows us to see the brokenness in us, allows us to see the brokenness in the world, and calls us to come from our heart, calls us to see with the eyes and with the face of God. And so today I've chosen a song for you as your meditation, as our meditation today. It's a Karen Drucker song. It's called The Face of God. And I want you, if you would, or I'll invite you, to sit with this and realize that you are that. You are the face of God, and so is every other living being on this planet. And the way that we heal from our brokenness is to recognize the truth of that we are that one, that face of God. And so it is.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu es l'image de Dieu.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu es l'image de l'amour.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu sei la luce di Dio.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu sei il volto dell'amore.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are my family. You are the face of love. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You in my heart. You are my family. You are my family. You are the face of love. The face of love. You are the face of God. The face of God. I hold you in my heart. You in my heart. You are a part of me. A part of me. You are the face of God. The face of God. You are the face of God.
Eres la luz de Dios.
I hold you in my heart.
Eres la cara del amor.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face
Tu
of
sei la luce di Dio.
You are the face
You
are the face of God. You are the face
Tu
of
es
God.
l'image de Dieu.
You are the face
You
of
are
the face of God. You are the face
Tu
of
sei
God.
la luz de Dios.
You are the face
You
of
are
God. The face of God. You are the face
Tu
of
ruh
God.
et خدایی.
You are the face
You
of
are
the face of God. You are the face of God.
I hope you don't forget this week that you indeed are the face of God, that every other living being that you see is the face of God as well. And our work is to be that wholeness, is to understand that we are broken, to recognize that, and to feel our oneness into wholeness together. So let's end, as we always do, with this prayer for ourselves and for each other as always. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. May all be happy. Amen.